All right, let's turn our focus now to education matters. So around 4 out of 5 grade 8 pupils and 3 out of 5 grade 9s in the Free State Province schools who uploaded pupils' results on the South African Schools Administration and Management System failed the assessments. Now, these are results in the first quarterly test of March. Now, these results, for example, would shock you because this is a province that has achieved the best matric pass rates in South Africa in the past few years. So this is a worry, but the Education Department says that many learners, according to some reports, the marks aren't there because they may not be a true reflection because the marks were not uploaded to the system. So what exactly is going on here? Let's try and look at this further. Now we speak to Professor Rouaan Maarman from the University of the UWC's Faculty of Education, Deputy Dean for Research, joining us live now. Thank you so much, Prof, for your time. I mean, when we read these reports, there's a lot to worry about, especially when you look at the figures and, you know, the percentages as far as the failure rates are concerned. But how worried should officials be when they see results like this one in the first quarter?
Evening, Bongi, and your viewers. I think all of us, not only officials, should be very worried. And more so, the parents of these learners should be the ones who are worried about the state of affairs. I think it's important for us to note that the Department of Education has become known to play games with the public in terms of the information that they put out and how they choose to put out certain sets of information and not others. An example of this is the throughput rate issue that we, on an annual basis, look into, which is problematic for South Africa as a whole. So I think it's no way saying the marks were not uploaded because it still reflects that there is a problem at that level of schooling in the province.
So does it then, mean that we can take this as a true reflection because the department seems to think that it isn't?
Well, difficult to say because we have to look at the specific numbers. But nonetheless, if we look at those totals that have been published so far, we will see that it is more or less the number of students in that province in those particular grades. So it is not much more students that were not uploaded. The stats show that clearly. But I think we should move beyond the stats because that is one story for now. But there are a lot of other issues. For me, there's a legacy issue when it comes to high schooling in South Africa. And there are 4 or 3 crucial transitions that takes place in the schooling system. So the one is from the foundation phase into the intermediate phase. That's a big shift for those learners. The other one is obviously moving from primary school into high school. And then lastly, the one moving from the senior phase into the FET phase, which is the last phase of schooling. Yeah. With each one of those transitions comes a lot of challenges and adaptations the learners and the teachers have to cope with.
And Prof, one of the things that, I was actually reading about, especially in response to what we're seeing happening in the Free State, some analysts who are watching this unfold are saying that for them, reading is also a big contributor when it comes to this particular issue. And I wonder if you'd agree with that?
Oh, definitely. Everything in education, especially formal schooling, is based on reading. And the problem in South Africa is that we switch our language of teaching after the foundation phase into English for 85% of the learners of South Africa. And what we must remember is that those learners are very young at that stage when we do that in the schooling system. And then coupled with that, we add new subjects to the curriculum for those learners. So that's a big problem and challenge for us. And then the problem compounds itself because every year, learners struggling to catch up with schooling and reading ability, and obviously then the studying and mastering of their subjects. And it just gets worse as they move through the primary school into the high school system.
Sure. Prof, I don't want to let you go before, we look at these legacy issues that you touched on a little earlier on. There's so much that we keep hearing about, especially where legacy is concerned. I mean, you're mentioning the issue of attendance. We also think about the fact that, for example, when the technical report at the end of the year for matric results, we then get to see those who start in grade 1 but still not able to finish. But at the same time, we're still being told about the systems that are not speaking to one another. Others are able to have better resources, others don't. You look at the issue of attendance, you look at the issue of support. These, in part, are some of the issues that we often hear about. But is there a move, in your view, when you look at what has happened through our transition of democracy, to address these?
I think there's been attempts, but I think there has not been good honesty from our authorities. The first important thing for me is that our curriculum is structured in a peculiar way. I can make an example of grade 5 languages and grade 5 mathematics. So what you will find in those curricula is that there is a lot of different aspects that teachers have to teach those youngsters in a short period of time. Instead of focusing on one or two aspects of language or mathematics and consolidate learning so that learners can then build upon and scaffold their learning throughout the year. So, for example, the mathematics grade 5 KEPS for term 1 is 9 different aspects. So one can just you have to teach all of that to these youngsters, and they have to master all of that. So it's challenging for both teachers and the learners to master that.
And let's paint a picture then for just how challenging it is for the teachers. I've listened to what you've had to say as a glimpse, but are they prepared for these challenges?
Look, it is difficult because me also being a previous school teacher, I believe a good school teacher can cope and can do the best possible thing. And also approach, the teaching and learning very seriously and professionally and do their job properly. But unfortunately, we will find that teachers are challenged. We find that teachers are teaching out of field, for example, and they were not trained to teach in mathematics or languages, but they find themselves in those positions. That is one aspect thereof. Another one is that some teachers have been trained, 30, 40 years ago. So a lot has changed since then. And you can't expect people just to, in a short space of time, turn around and be the best experts if they don't have a particular background. Now, what we find in our school subjects is that you need that foundational knowledge, and then you also need pedagogical knowledge, how to teach the subject. That is very important. So you sit with these two sets of knowledges, and we are sometimes not sure whether our teachers are well grounded in both sets of knowledges in order to enact their mandate in the classroom. So we really need experts to teach in a particular subject.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to hear from the Department of the Free State Education. They are speaking to us tomorrow to respond to this particular report. But, you raise quite a lot of important issues, and these, of course, still need a lot of discussion. But thank you so much, Prof, for your time. Do appreciate it. That is Professor Rouaan Maarman, Education Deputy Dean for Research at UWC.